Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've been live. I thought I would jump on. This is after the last full moon in Sagittarius, so I'm quite tired. I haven't been sleeping very well for the last couple of days. My sleeping and energy is completely out of whack, but I did want to come on and talk about love and relationships. So I haven't been able to go on my YouTube channel to give a lot of live readings lately, and I wanted to come on and talk about soulmates, twin flames, relationships, and offer as much insight as I can to hopefully help you on your journey if you're going through any of these situations with regards to, again, love, wondering where your soulmate is, or your partner, or maybe you've met your twin flame, you've met your soulmate, or even just someone who you have a soul contract with. So I'm going to address all of these here in this discussion. I'm going to share as much information as I can to hopefully help you on your journey as well. Hey, Shannon, it's so good to see you. How have you been? And if you have any questions as I go through this, I have notes because I tend to move quite fast through things. It's the good old air sign trait that I have. I tend to just blast through things, and then I realize I forgot to talk about some really important things. So I have my notes today where I'm going to cover a few things that I wrote down, but also it's very fluid. So if you have any questions as I move along with regards to anything that I'm talking about, just let me know. All right, so I'm going to start with soulmates and twin flames, and that's going to be, I'm not going to spend too much time with it, but I am going to cover a couple things that are really important, especially around, we'll start with twin flames. So not everyone has a twin flame, and I know there's a lot of information out there. I know there's a lot of information around soulmates, and it's very common for a lot of people to want to find their soulmate. I mean, I've heard it many times before. I've heard it with men that I've met as well, want to find my soulmate, and it's almost this searching for that one. And a lot of us want the one. A lot of us don't want to waste time dating. We don't want to waste time going through the motions of the breakups and what if this person isn't right for me, and having to go through the heartache. But we also need to go through the process to understand who we are and what works for us, and to find the one who's going to be that right fit. And I do believe that we all have that person, if it is a twin flame or a soulmate or someone we have that soul connection or contract with, I should say, out there. And I'm going to give you some tips as well of how to attract that and how to align with that person who does exist for you. So I've mentioned this in a few other videos as well. We all have a divine destined path. We all have a path that we're on, but we also have choices to make, and we can jump off of our path and on our path at any time. We can connect with the person that we have a soul connection with if we choose. But we also have to do the work. We also have to be prepared that if there's a person out there for you, which there most likely is, that you have to be prepared to do the work. And it isn't, if it's a soulmate, and I know there are a lot of these fantasies of finding that soulmate or the twin flame or having that compatibility that is going to be unlike anything else, there still needs to be work. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done with that connection. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that it's just going to fall into place perfectly. And usually if you have a connection with someone, you meet someone who you have a past life connection with, or you have that familiarity with, it can very well bring up stuff. And there could be someone who you meet with regards to a relationship that really brings up a lot. And if that happens, the relationship is there to teach you something. It's there for you to learn and for you to make conscious choices to fix things that need to be fixed or heal things that need to be healed. Usually healing is when you meet someone who either triggers something or brings things up from the depths, like really deep stuff, then it definitely is someone who you've met to help you work through something in some kind of way. So this is an ongoing process. And I also want to stress that not everyone has a twin flame. I do feel that everyone has their person out there, that perfect match for them. But it also requires you to be in the place that's where you're right for yourself first, where you are in alignment with you, where you are in alignment and whole for you first. And that is so important, because when you are whole, When you are complete, when you are fulfilled for you, then you are going to attract that person. And I'm sure a lot of you have gone through this in the past as well. I've gone through it many times where I wasn't in the right place for being with someone who I wanted to be. I wanted to be in a relationship. I have a lot of love. I want to be in a very loving and nurturing relationship. But during my journey, I wasn't in the right place at all. And so the people I was attracting were either triggering me, bringing things up, or just really simply not working. So again, be prepared to do the work. Be prepared to work on yourself first, and be prepared to also not date for a while if you really want to find that one who you feel you might be connected with. And I'm going to also give some advice on how to connect with that person. When we take a step back and when we're not pushing and pursuing love, when we're not chasing it, when we're not going out there and serial dating and meeting people constantly and trying to find that one and trying to search. And this could also be a very challenging side as well, because a lot of us, we want to find love, we want to be in a relationship, but we also need to know what kind of relationship we want. We also need to know where our values are as well, and take a step back from just wanting to be in a relationship. Because if we just want to be in a relationship, then that's all we're going to get. Yes, exactly. Hey, Samine. I hope you're feeling well today. I was going to send you a note as well, so I'll check up with you later. But you have to know yourself. You have to be prepared to spend a bit of time by yourself first, to get to know yourself, to heal from the past, to cut old wounds, but also to relationships are good for us because it also teaches us what we want and what we don't want. So we do need to go through a little bit of trial and error. Beautiful. Yeah, exactly. Well, and this is the thing too. So you very well could also meet someone during your timeline, during your life, who you have a very special connection with, and the timing just might not be right. And it may not be right for a reason, so that the both of you can maybe pause and work on each other or work through life and then maybe reconnect at another time. And this is where we also need to learn to take the pressure off, to really take the pressure off of being with someone, being in love. Again, it's the searching and wanting and the desire and chasing. And that's really dangerous. And I do feel that there's a lot of our culture in our society today that is really chasing love, and it's just almost becomes an addiction or a fixation just to be with someone, just for the sake of being with someone. And then you get in this relationship, and then you either maybe it's just for fun, or it's a relationship that is superficial or based on the chase or based on just wanting to be with someone or not wanting to be alone, because a lot of people too don't like to be alone either. And it's very important to feel comfortable being on your own, because then when you're with a relationship, then you lose yourself. You lose yourself in that relationship, and then it will just be disastrous. You'll lose the relationship, you lose yourself. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when I do my lives on YouTube, I get a lot of questions about love. I get a lot of questions too. Some people will ask me, I'll get into some of the questions because I do have some of the common questions written here, and I'm going to answer them here on how to answer those questions for yourself rather than searching for tarot. And there are so many tarot readers online who are offering love specific readings. But this is another thing too that we have to be careful of, is not to get fixated on the story of our love situation, to let go of it, to trust our intuition. And I challenge anyone out there, if you are watching a lot of love readings, there's nothing wrong with gaining some insight and some information and maybe even some healthy advice out there to manage or to work through a situation that you might have some confusion around, or you may feel a bit lost with. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're fixated on it in a way of searching every day for answers and wanting to know from maybe a tarot reader or a tarot reader online or in person, I really challenge you to take time away from that and to connect with your heart and to connect with your intuition and to feel what feels right for you. So if you want to connect with your soulmate, your divine partner, your other person who exists out there, you have to be by yourself. You have to connect with yourself. You have to take a step back. You have to open your heart. And this is some of the work that I do. I have my Healing and Opening the Heart course that I designed specifically also for this, so that we can take a step back from life and the pressures and the distractions and the wanting to know and the needing to know, and connect with ourselves. And then when we connect with our heart, and when we really are open it and honor it, and also connect with our values, what we value in a relationship, what's important for us, and we sit with it for a while, then we get to align with who it is that's out there, who's going to be in alignment with ourself, with our values, with our soul, with what we are drawn towards with regards to love. And when you become clear with that, when you sit with yourself for a while, when you start to heal or transform or go through those layers, when you meet people and you start to discern, okay, that doesn't work for me, that doesn't work for me, this is great. And there's nothing wrong with testing the waters and trying things out and going on dates. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to connect with your one, and maybe you have more than one, you might have a couple soulmates, you might have a couple partners who you might meet in your lifetime. We have a lot of time on this planet. We have a lot of time here. So time does not exist. And I know a lot of people, when I do my readings on live, there are a lot of questions on when am I going to meet this person? We need to let go of the time altogether, because then we become on the neediness side of it. I need to know. And that's the ego. I need to know, when is this going to happen? The certainty, the control. Well, if it shows up when it shows up, it's just that much more of a surprise, and you get to go with the flow, and you just enjoy the relationship, and you enjoy your life, you enjoy the transformation, but then you also feel into the connection more than just wanting a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship and not wanting to be alone and having that person now. And then when we're in a relationship anyway for 5 or 6 years, what happens? Then we go, do I want this? Do I still want this relationship? Do I still want to be with this person? So we go through these ups and downs all the time, but it's really important to find the flow, to trust your intuition, to be in your heart, to know what you want, to know where your values lie, and take your time. There is no rush for relationship. There is no rush for love. You have to love yourself first. And especially if you're going into the realm of twin flame and soulmate, or someone you might have a soul contract with, or something on a deeper level. If you want a meaningful relationship, you have to be prepared to wait it out. And it could take years. It could take years, but it'll be worth it, because you're going to connect with someone on a very deep level. And that's the connection that you'll want. And that's going to sustain the relationship as well. So some of the tips that I can offer too for connecting with that is, again, taking a pause, letting go of timelines, connecting with your heart, and connecting with what you value the most with regards to love. And then start visualizing and feeling hey, Colleen, start visualizing and feeling that person. What does it feel like being with that person? What does it feel like waking up in the morning with that person? What does it feel like hugging and caressing that person? What does it feel like having that connection or conversations or experiencing life together with that person? You feel it, you're starting to connect with it, and it's there. It does exist. But first you need to let go of old patterns, and we all go through this. And this is sometimes how we learn to adjust to what we want, to what we're connected with in a deeper way, right? So when you start to connect with that future relationship, you have to be prepared to give it some time to run its course, because you also have to remember that there's another person involved in this manifestation. So the other person is also, thank you. Thanks, Colleen. The other person is going through their journey. So the other person, the person who you are aligning with, if it's a soulmate, if it's a twin flame, it's a divine partnership, whatever you want to call it. And truthfully, I feel like we need to let go of some of those titles. We need to let go of, I want a twin flame, I want my divine counterpart, I want my power person, and just align with what it is that you want. What is that relationship that you want to fit into your life, or you want to be part of your life? And two, if it's a twin flame, and even any kind of meaningful relationship, if you're not complete within yourself, then you're going to attract something that's going to trigger you. And you're also going to maybe trigger the other person, or you're going to attract what has not been resolved yet inside your heart, inside within you. So you'll attract what you don't want, essentially, or what you need to change, what you need to address within your heart, what you need to address within yourself with regards to relationship. So the patience is huge. The patience is key. The working on yourself is important first. It will all be worth it. It will be so worth it. Then when that person comes in, then you'll know. And it will be amazing. Trust me. It will be so worth it. Back to what I was saying with regards to another person being involved. When you are connecting with that relationship, with that love, with that future person that you start visualizing, that you start feeling the connection with, they're on their own path as well. You're on your own path. So there has to be that understanding that when you start connecting with that person energetically, emotionally, spiritually, then you also have to remember that they have a life, they have a story playing out as well. So there may, depending on what's happening. And then when you meet that person, then you can have that conversation. So what were you going through over the last year exactly? Oh, it'll all come up. Trust me. It'll be like, oh, my life changed and I went through a major divorce, or I just stopped dating because I wanted to just fix myself. Guarantee it. It will be a very similar story to what you experienced, but they have to go through it as well. So there are two people involved. So again, there's nothing wrong with dating. There's nothing wrong with getting out there and meeting people and trying things. But you have to be aware of what the relationships are teaching you and finding your way through that to connect with the one. And remember, we might have more than one, but connect with a meaningful and soul connected relationship if that's what you want. But again, remember that the twin flame relationships are very tricky. They don't always work. We don't need a twin flame. Not that I'm saying that it can't be great and that it can't be the one either. It can very well be. And it can work out and it can be amazing. But also too, it can be very tricky. It can be very unhealthy. And not all of us have twin flames either. So just in my own experience, my own personal experience working with others, doing readings as well, I feel that I almost want to give a suggestion to just try not to search for the twin flame, or try not to even search for that soulmate, or give it a title. I feel like it is just search for and feel connected with who is going to resonate with you the most and who you feel drawn towards based on the relationship that you want, based on the connection that you want, and starting to align with that dynamic and how it feels in that relationship, all the details. And then over time, you'll get clearer and clearer, and you might even visually see the person. You might see maybe not so much their face so much, but maybe their body type, or just their style, or just how they present themselves, or something along those lines. And you might very well start to really see into the details of that particular person because it's coming closer. It's becoming closer and closer. And then you're going to feel it. You're going to feel how close it is. It's right around the corner. Okay, something is happening. It's going to show up. And that's how it works, right? So don't chase love. Heal yourself first. Always the number one. So when you are in your center, when you are confident with yourself, then you are going to attract someone of equal measure. And two, if for some reason it doesn't last until eternity, until the rest of your life, and maybe this person is here for several years to complement something, to really enhance your life experience, then there might be someone else. But you're going to be in a place where you can work through the challenges and work through love from a place of compassion and from a place of confidence within yourself, rather than getting lost in the relationship. So sometimes we go through a breakup and it destroys us. It wipes us out and we're unable to function. We can't, hey Maud, nice to see you. And we're unable to even think straight. We're unable to function. We're unable to eat. We've lost ourselves completely. That's not where we want to be. And that isn't love. But if that happens, and I'm sure a lot of us have been there, right? If that does happen, it means that, well, we need to look at what is being brought up, what's being triggered. Maybe it's something of abandonment, or maybe there's something from our past that has been triggered, being brought up, that needs to heal first. When we are in a relationship, we should be able to part ways if it doesn't work. Sometimes there's a time limit to some of these relationships. We all want the one where we don't have to go through the breakups, or we have to go through the endings, but some of them might have a time limit to them. And we have to be aware that if it happens, if there is a separation, that we still have our sense of self, that we still feel complete. Even, yes, we can mourn the relationship. There can be sadness. It may be difficult, but we won't be in a place where we'll lose ourselves again, or lose ourselves in a way that is really unhealthy for us, where we take the hit for something that just had a time limit to it. It wasn't maybe meant to last the eternity. And some of them can too, right? But we also need to be aware that we can't give too much of our energy out. And it doesn't mean that you don't love the person or you won't love the person, or vice versa. There can be a beautiful, beautiful love, and love that can last outside of the relationship as well, right? So know what you want is a big one. Set your standards. Set your standards. Know what you want. Know what you value. Know how you want to be treated in a relationship. And don't settle for less. Don't settle for less. Even if a couple of the things are very attractive and interesting, we also need to stay strong with what we value and what's important for us. There is no rush. Even if it takes, again, it might take a couple of years, but it'll be worth it. And if you want to meet people in the meantime, then by all means, I mean, you can for sure. But again, if you're wanting that meaningful relationship, and if you're wanting something that is going to last, then be prepared to invest time into it. Be prepared for the long investment. Don't let relationships rule your life. So again, when I do readings on live, I do feel that there is a very strong emphasis on love. And I can feel the energy behind some of these readings. You know, if you know me, you know my work, you know that I can feel a lot of this, the pressure of it, right? The pressure of love. When is it going to show up? When am I going to meet my person? When is love coming in? And it's almost this, again, I can feel the pressure of some of these, and some of them are fine, right? Some of them we just want to know just out for fun or just out of interest. But you know intuitively, and this is the point of me doing this video here, is to connect with your intuition, and you'll know when the relationship is going to show up. And we need to connect with that. We need to connect with ourselves to understand from a place of intuition when we're going to expect it, maybe what needs to change in order for us to bring it in. And the more work that we do on ourselves, the faster we're going to speed up the process. If we're putting up the when is this going to happen? How is it going to happen? Who is this person? It's all resistance, because we're coming from a place of ego and we're wanting to know, we're wanting to have that certainty. But that's not part of our life. Our life is very fluid. Our life is very open, and our life is meant for experiences. We're meant to experience everything. So if we get hung up on our ego and wanting to control the situation and wanting to know all the details of everything, then we're missing the point. And then we're missing the connection within ourselves. We're missing the connection with our intuition. So when you are connected with yourself, and when you're energetically connected with your person, then you're going to feel the connection become stronger over time when you're going through your process, when they're going through their process, and you're going to know that's right around the corner. And I've given readings to a lot of people, with myself included, knowing what's showing up in my world. I have a feeling of things. A lot of us have feelings about things of yes, it's coming up. But again, we need to let go of the when. And there are a lot of times too where I've looked back and I've known that I haven't been ready for a relationship, but I ended up moving into a relationship when maybe I wanted stability, or I wanted something that was superficial. And I knew that it wasn't going to last, and it didn't, right? So it wasn't fair for me. It wasn't fair for the other person. So for me, I had to put a hard stop on it until I know exactly who I am, what I feel connected with, and allow for that to unfold. And truthfully, again, we need to work on ourselves. There's a lot to have. There's a lot happening in the unseen and with us personally that's playing out to align us with, again, that one in the perfect time for us. So we'll be in a place of stability. We'll be in a place of our heart being open. And a lot of us too, like when we want love, it's to fulfill something. It's to fill a broken heart. It's to fill something that might be lacking within us. So it's really important for us to go into ourselves and feel into, is there something lacking that I'm looking to fill? And if so, what is it? Self-love, self-care, setting up the healthy boundaries, setting up standards, the belief system, believing that I can have what I want, believing I can have that relationship. And again, setting your standards, knowing what you want, knowing that it does exist. But then we also need to pedal backwards a little bit, setting the standards, knowing what we want, feeling connected with it from our heart, from our intuition, from our soul, And then moving backwards, okay, well, is there anything I need to do to prepare for that? And am I confident enough to claim that right now? And if not, what do I need to do to build my confidence, or to open my heart more, or to let go of resentment from the past, or let go of past relationships? And that's another thing too. Like, there have been many times I've seen people bounce from one relationship to another. I've done it once in my life too. It was completely disastrous, because I just was looking for that one. I was looking for that right one that was going to work when so many weren't working. And I was approaching it all wrong. I was just trying to find one that was working without taking that step back for myself and pausing and connecting. And knowing that, yeah, I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of healing the heart and letting go of the past. And when you don't let go of the past and heal from the past, and you bring it into the next relationship. And so it's really hard, and it puts a lot of strain on that relationship and on the other person and yourself as well. So that's why it's really important to give a pause and work on yourself, allow for things to unfold in perfect timing, and taking the pressure off of it. Let's see. I think I pretty much covered almost everything. There were a couple questions that come up. There are a couple questions that come up on the live readings that I want to address as well. So, is my ex coming back? Now, this is a common question that I'm asked on YouTube. Is my ex coming back? Now, again, how can I answer this? There could be if you feel intuitively, and this is another part about our intuition that's really important. If you feel that there's an open door still with someone who you had a separation with, then there may be something unresolved, but you can't wait for that person. You can't wait for that person. You can't put your life on hold for anyone. If you feel, hey, Al, how are you? It's good to see you. Yes. So if there's the question of, is my ex coming back? Don't wait for it. Don't wait for it. If there's an open door, and if you feel that there's something unresolved that is still supposed to come back, let it come back when it's supposed to. They do. They certainly do come back. It is very true. So let it come back. Let go of any resentment or anything that has come up in that relationship first. If it comes back, if they come back, if you two connect in some way, again, there's nothing wrong with reconnecting and building a relationship that in a new way that didn't work the first time. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the both of you have to be in a place of readiness where maybe you've taken some time for yourself and you have been able to heal and you've been able to fix. There is nothing wrong. And I feel honestly, if both people are able to do that, that's beautiful. It really is. Where there's no resentment, there's no animosity, where both people can take a pause and just go, okay, we need to fix something. We need to really work on something. And coming back in a place where, slowly giving things some time and rebuilding that trust and rebuilding that relationship. And that's completely fine. But both people have to be on board, and both people have to have done that work and have had to take that time separately in a healthy way, and really have done the work. But don't wait. Don't wait for exes to come back. Don't put your life on hold. If anything, look at what the relationship taught you. Look at any changes that can be made from what you learned through that relationship, but do not put your life on hold for anyone unless there's been that agreement or that separation where you can both mutually leave and work on each other. And if it shows up, it shows up, and that's great. But if not, again, just, don't put your life on hold for anything. All right. Another question is my person cheating on me? Now, this one comes up a lot, and I don't answer these questions on YouTube at all because doesn't work with what I want to offer. Yes, you have to live life. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. The cheating thing. If you are with someone who you feel is cheating on you, two things. One, is it is it your own? It's like the moon card in tarot, our fears and illusions. So if we've been cheated on before in the past, then trust may have been broken, and we may look at relationships, or we may lose trust in relationships in a way where we're looking for clues to accuse someone of cheating on us or doing wrong, so we don't get hurt again. And that could completely ruin a relationship if the other person is being honest and just living their life and not understanding what's happening behind the scenes here of someone not having trust. So the cheating thing, yes. So if you have been hurt in the past, so this goes back to some of the other pieces of content that I've talked about, our triggers, what we have within us. So we have a lot of, since we were a child, and I won't go into past lives because that also plays out, especially when you meet someone you have a soulmate connection with or a twin flame connection with. There's all sorts of stuff that's going to come up in that dynamic. But we'll just stick to this timeline for the sake of simplicity. Yeah. I feel like it could go either way. If you're asking the question if someone's cheating on me, they could very well be. Then you don't want to be with someone where you are going to have that feeling anyway. So it is not going to be a healthy relationship, and you shouldn't be in that relationship if that's how you're feeling and if that's how they're making you feel. But it can also go in the way I feel of, if you've been hurt in the past, or if you have traumas that you have not healed, then you're just not going to have trust maybe in any relationship until you work through your traumas, or you've worked through your hurts and pains that you've gone through in the past before. But if you're in a relationship where you don't feel safe, you don't feel like you can trust someone, then that's not the relationship for you. However, if this is something within you that you need to heal and fix, you need to really separate from that relationship and work on yourself to heal and fix yourself from your old wounds and your old traumas, because it's going to make the relationship worse. It's going to be very hard on the other person and yourself, of course. So we all have traumas and wounds within us that we've gone through our whole life, mostly from a child, things that we brought in from our parents, things that we brought in again. If you're dealing with past life, soulmate and twin flame connections, there very well could be stuff brought in from that too that may be triggered within that dynamic. But if you've been hurt in the past and it has not been resolved, and you haven't gotten to the root of that lack of trust or pain or anything that's happened, then it's just going to keep coming up, and you're going to continually be triggered by opening your heart and becoming vulnerable and retracting into, I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want this to happen again. And even seeing the perception skewed of the reality because of what you've gone through. And that is a little bit of the moon card, right? In tarot, it is very much of fears and illusions. And when we've gone through the traumas in our past, we tend to, our reality and our perception of relationships and of situations becomes skewed. So we need to, again, if that is what you're feeling and if that is something you're experiencing, look at it in two ways and challenge yourself and be honest with yourself, right? So if it's something that you need to work on within you, then you're going to need some time away from this person to address where that's coming from, the lack of trust and the hurt, and worrying about if this person is being honest with you or not. But again, flip side, if that person is really truthfully acting in a way where you can't trust that person, then don't be with that person. Because and that's not just the cheating part. That could just be in how we're being treated. If we're not, if the other person doesn't have their heart open, if the other person has commitment issues, then be very aware with it. And that's where you get to set your standards, and that's where you connect with your values. And when you're connected with your values and you're connected with your standards and values, I think pretty much the same thing. And when you're connected with that, when your heart is open, and when we go through the heart work too, it's not just heart being open, it's heart being powerful, and really seeing and really being observant. And when your heart is open, you're also very connected with your intuition. So you just end up developing this intuition, and you'll know if someone is honest, if someone's playing with you, if someone's going to waste your time. You're going to know if someone's heart isn't open. You're going to know if someone isn't ready. And it's just a matter of sticking with that, really honoring you and your values, even if the person seems really nice in some ways, or they're really attractive, or they're really fun, or they're really beautiful. I mean, there have been so many times where, I've met people who have been so nice, and I've seen that niceness and I've seen that softness in their heart and all the good things, but everything else was a complete shit show. So I chose not to look at the bad stuff because I saw the good things. And that's also, another problem that I needed to work on, because it just, we tend to sell ourselves a bit short by looking at the good things. And even if there is a loving connection, it doesn't mean that it's going to be short-lived if it is only on superficial level, or if it's only on one aspect within the relationship. You want it all. We all deserve it all, right? And then, yes, back to the timelines of when am I going to find love? So we need to let go of the timelines and let go of the pressure that we put on ourselves. Again, twin flame soulmate can be very tricky. And there very well could be, when you meet this person, if it is a twin flame, if it is a soulmate, there very well could be a very strong connection at the beginning, and then it could fall apart. That is very common. But if that happens, again, check in to see what needs to change and what is it teaching you. If this is someone who you can work towards mutually, towards something better, because it can work out. But twin flames, again, almost you do deserve it all. We all do. We all do. We all do. But yeah, twin flames will mirror you, essentially. So if you're in a place where you're still healing, where you're going through a lot of changes, it's not a time to be in a relationship. And it's not a time to let that relationship really weigh heavy on you while you are going through your transformation. So the more that you can, and I know it's difficult. Trust me, I know it's very difficult when you meet someone who you have a very strong connection with. That's very unique. Because it's a love, and it's a connection that is very rare. And it brings in a lot of love, but it can bring in a lot of tension as well. So you really have to check in and sit with yourself and be honest. Is this going to be a healthy relationship and something that I can find myself fully opening my heart to in the long term? And if it isn't, then you need to move on and carry on with your life. And if it happens to reconnect in some way when you are whole and when you are healed, then all the better. Then it's meant to be, right? And there are twin flames out there. I know people who have met and have had to completely separate because it just won't happen. And sometimes you're not meant to meet in this lifetime, remember, right? So it just is all about honoring your intuition, setting your values, staying strong with that, staying true to that. And if you have to wait it out, if you have to wait several years, it will be worth it. It totally will. Because what is worse than bringing someone in when you're not ready, when they're not ready, and choosing people out of just wanting to date for the sake of dating? Pretty much. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I wanted to address as much as I could because I know it's a very sensitive topic. I mean, we've all gone through heartache. We've all gone through love. A lot of us are going through the healing process as well. And the love brings up a lot. Love brings up a lot because as soon as we're vulnerable, as soon as we open our heart, we also bring up things that we've experienced from our past. Our past traumas come up, our past wounds come up. It really brings up a lot within us. So it is, I understand it's a very sensitive topic, and I understand why a lot of people watch a lot of the love tarot readings on YouTube, because it is, it's a big topic in our society. But I know that there's an easy way through this, easy as in smooth, that we all can access. It's always a lesson that we can learn from a relationship, and we have to go back first. Yes, exactly, to self-love. Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. Well said. So anyway, I hope that offered some advice and clarity, and even at very least a great pep talk for you to connect with your heart, to set your values, what is important for you, to not worry about if you're single or not. And, you know, in our society, we do have a lot of pressure around relationships, around love, even in family, you know, getting married, having children, working towards that timeline of society, of our normal standards and all these things. But it's not true. And we don't need to abide by those rules and by those standards at all. It's all about honoring our own pace, honoring our own timelines, connecting with our heart, and giving us the time that we need to really nurture ourselves and be in a place of readiness for that right person. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So we all have different timelines. We all have a divine purpose. We all have a different purpose. We can jump off our timelines. We can jump on our timelines. We can connect with who we want. It's all our choice. It's all freedom of choice, right? So your person is out there. We don't need to push for it, and it is going to happen in exactly the right timing for you. Right. So I am going to log off. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for being here. It was so great to connect with you all, and I'm wishing you all the best right now. I'm sure I will be seeing you soon. Bye, everyone.